So let's start with the rapid fire questions. The first one is, at what age do you want to retire?
Last year.
How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
50 minutes, 20 minutes.
Most embarrassing moment of your life?
Hopefully it didn't happen until now, so looking forward.
Favorite color?
Green.
What time of day are you most inspired?
In the early morning.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
It's flexible, starting from 5 up to 8.
Fill in the blank. An upcoming technology trend is blank.
AI.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
Kaiserslautern.
Pick one. Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Elon Musk.
The biggest mistake of your career?
Skip.
How do you relax?
On my bike.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Too much. 4 or 5.
A habit of yours that you hate?
Skip.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life?
Be patient.
Your favorite Netflix show?
Hey Pepsi, where's my chat?
One word description of your leadership style?
Flexible.
Top priority in your daily schedule?
Keep on track.
Ideal vacation spot?
Skip.
Key factor for maintaining a work-life balance?
Be aware of what's around you.
Memorable career milestone?
Decide to be a co-founder of Xperts Inside.
The last song you've been listening to?
Skip.
The last movie that you saw that had a good impression on you?
It's an old movie, Heat, with Robert De Niro.
Okay. Well, that's the end of the rapid fire, so that was really good. And let's move on to the longer questions, which you can answer with as much ease and time as you like.
Okay, yeah.
The first one is, can you share your journey into Microsoft enterprise environments and your role as a consultant for SharePoint, Office 365, and Azure?
Yes, definitely. So I started my career with a focus on Microsoft technology as an employee, and not an employee of Microsoft, as an employee in a company. And my job was a database administrator. So I worked with Microsoft SQL Server. And in this context, SharePoint came up, SharePoint databases, maintaining, backupping, etc. And so I came in touch with SharePoint. And it was an impressive part of technology for me. And step by step, I moved over from the database administrator role to a SharePoint role. And this was in the year, I think, 2009, 2010. And then in the year 2011, 2 colleagues of mine planned to found their own company. We call it Xperts Inside. It was in September 2011. And in October 2011, they asked me if I would also interested to join this idea. So at our starting point, it was 3 guys saying, okay, we know about SharePoint. And this was the beginning of my Microsoft professional career.
And how does the guiding principles of Xperts at Work align with your vision for providing consulting services? And what really distinguishes your approach?
So at the end of the day, Xperts at Work, Xperts Inside is just a company doing technology consulting, which means there are a lot of topics around us which we have to deal with, but which are not technology topics. So the most well-known example is GDPR. GDPR is a law at the end of the day. So if you have questions about this, you have to ask a lawyer, not a technical. And on the other side, from a technical perspective, even with cloud computing, there is no way to ignore GDPR. So that means we have to deal around these scenarios. We can do technology. This is what this is our daily business. And around us, we have some other stuff, even stuff like user adoption, communication concepts, etc., which are really important for us. And this is where we begin to start dealing with strong partners for projects. Yeah.
And how has all of this changed since you mentioned GDPR? How has GDPR evolved in the market since?
So GDPR brings stuff like security and compliance on just definitely another level that it was before. Okay, security and compliance, when you're talking to a customer and asking a stupid question like, is security important for you? Nobody will say, no, security, we don't care, definitely. But now we have a law that brings the need that you really have to deal with it, that you have to write down concepts, that you have to evaluate your settings to fulfill the GDPR requirements, which are mostly, even from a technical perspective, focusing to security and compliance features. And with this, it is just another level as it was before. And this is also why I'm, meanwhile, not only focusing to SharePoint or communication projects and technologies like, meanwhile, Teams, etc. But so my other topics are definitely in this context. So what is needed to configure a secure and compliant M365 or even Azure environment? And when we're starting the discussions, even then with a company, answering the questions, why should we do this? What is the need to do this? Because of the customer definitely will understand why should I care about it. Yeah.
So considering this experience that you're talking about, what emerging trends in SharePoint or Azure or Microsoft 365 do you think will reshape the industry?
So what we see actually is that Microsoft is just focusing features under business topics. Definitely, so in the last years, we had a really, really fast involvement. So, the so-called evergreen approach that Microsoft is using, which means there are updates every week or at least every month. And this brings out a lot of tiny little apps doing specific stuff. At the end of the day, a user or let's say a customer in the context of a project isn't really interested in this app or this app or this tiny app. He's interested in a solution that helps him to do his daily business. And in this context, what Microsoft is actually doing is just combining or aggregating features and functions which are split in different tiny little apps to a complete solution. So the best example is the new planner. So the new planner, which was announced at Ignite, is now aggregating capabilities, tasks from the planner, from Project Online, and even from To-Do. And this is definitely what the customer is looking for. The customer wants, or a user at the customer wants an application that shows him, what do I have to do today? Independent if this task is done in Planner, in Project for the Web, or in To-Do or whatever solution. And this is actually an interesting trend, so that all this is combined. Another interesting thing that I see is, maybe you heard about this application, Microsoft Loop. It's just an app where you can cooperate even with other people. And of course, yes, there are other products out in the market. For example, Miro boards, which is doing at least the same. And to be true, Miro in detail that got more detailed features and functions. But what is the big benefit of Loop? Loop is integrated in Teams. It's integrated in Outlook, etc., etc. That means from an end user perspective, it is absolutely independent if you're using it in an email or in Teams chat. The Loop component is the same, and the data you're dealing with is also the same because of it's stored in the Loop app or in the backend service of the Loop app. And this is a trend where we actually see, and from my perspective, and even from what our customers are telling us, a really, really good approach. Because at the end of the day, it means more or less silos for you, depending on which solution or which architecture you prefer.
So considering these significant developments like new planner and also OpenAI discussions, what potential opportunities or challenges do you foresee for businesses adopting these technologies?
AI is actually an buzzword. So everybody's talking about AI. Think about the Microsoft Ignite AI was the one and only. Also here at this conference, AI. So it's, these funny situation. The answer is AI, of course. But what was the question? But the answer is AI. So, but let's see, if you're just going a little bit more deeper, definitely AI is a big game changer. When you're just looking a little bit of where are we coming from, there's the interview, you can watch it on YouTube or on other platforms from the founder of the Homebrew Computer Club in 1970s, 1975, something like this. And he talked about the first home computer, the Altair. And he says, oh, it can blink and peep, and we can just use these switches to program it, and that's it. But this was the starting point of the career of computer systems, because the next step is that we have computers for maybe employees in companies, but that means the employee needs to be aware of how to deal with this machine. You need to know the programming language or the code that is needed to get a value out of this machine. And then the next level was graphical user interfaces, which Apple and Microsoft bring up. So with this step, people who before are not able to deal with this machine because they don't know the programming language, etc., can now get a value out of computers. And what we see actually with AI is just the next step because of, I think you also played around with ChatGPT, etc. You can ask this little machine in a natural language, what do you want to have? Simple stuff like, tell me what to do in Amsterdam and please act as my travel agent. And the answer is brilliant from the quality. And that means that even people who are not aware with computer technology actually now have the chance to get a value out of this machine. So yeah, that's the actual trend.
So let's talk a bit about you being a Microsoft regional director and MVP for Office servers and services. What are your primary areas of expertise benefiting your clients here?
As we already talked about, it's just coming from the SharePoint ecosystem, which means it's all about communication, collaboration, planning, and setting up solutions that let people interact in projects or even, let's say, in departments in a company, or even strategies about different subsidiaries of a company split it all over the world. So this is where I'm coming from, and this is also what I'm actually still doing, and I love to do this. And in addition, it's the security and the compliance stuff. So security, even in the context of cloud computing, we get a new level because of your cloud environment can be reached from wherever in the world. You only need the internet access and the user and the password, and then you can access it. And with this, we just get new challenges we had to respect. So a big topic that I do with my customers is working out zero trust strategies in the context of trust nobody, don't trust a device or whatever, but just work out which data must be available for your employees or maybe even for your customers in which scenarios. So a simple example to give you a little bit an idea of what this means. Let's say the menu card for the restaurant in your company, this is not security critical. You can just use it on your private phone, from your private laptop, whatever. But let's say the data about the C-level is just actually talking. This is highly secure content. And if someone gets in touch with this, who is not allowed to do, maybe there's a big negative impact. So we had a complete other scenario than the menu card of the restaurant. And the zero trust strategy means we had to respect these different scenarios and worked out the details on how this data can be accessed, etc.
And so what notable challenges have you faced throughout your career here? And how did you overcome them personally or in consulting projects or anything memorable that comes to mind?
For me, and I think also the other founders of Xperts Insight, it was an interesting challenge in the last 10, 12 years to come from, I'm a technical guy, I know the bits and bytes, to really do strategic consulting with a value for our customers. So also, as we discussed, the customer isn't interested in this is SharePoint or this is Exchange or whatever. The customer is interested in, I have a problem, can you offer me a solution? Or can you help me to work out a strategy which can be used to fulfill to respect my business critical things? And this is the evolution I and also my other colleagues did in the last 10 years, coming from this pure technical perspective, which is still really important, don't misunderstand me. But for me and my role in this industry, it is more going actually to strategic consulting and help customers work out, okay, where we are actually and where do we need to go to be on top of our industry in the future. Yeah.
So do you have any example where failure or setbacks ultimately led to a valuable learning experience in your career?
Yes, definitely. Learnings are in the context of, also in the early years to say, okay, here's a brilliant new feature in whatever, SharePoint, or at the starting point of Microsoft 365 or Office 365, which was the first name. It is about, new features, and now we can do it in the cloud, and you can access it from at home, from your private devices, etc. But at the end of the day, the learning is, this is interesting, definitely, and depending on who you're talking in a company, they are really interesting in these talks. But at the end, from a company, from a C-level perspective, that's not the important things. So the important thing is, okay, how much is it, and what can I do with it? What can it help me to fulfill my daily business work on my daily business priorities? And it was definitely a learning coming as a technical guy from these bits and bytes level to this strategic level and help customers within this.
So we also done some research and found out that you're a professional member of the German Speaker Association. How has public speaking impacted your career and industry influence?
To be true, I'm not longer, but anyway, I'm just do public speaking. I'm just here actually at the ESPC conference where we do the interview, and I've also some speaking slots here. And it's, definitely a big part of my professional career. It means a little bit like do good things and talk about. So yes, normally my sessions I just provide or I talked about based on learnings and experiences we had from projects, which means I can say, okay, with customer XYZ, we had a situation like this, and now I can give you an idea of how we fulfilled this or how we solved this situation. And this is interesting for the audience. And even the good thing is that the audience is giving you feedback. You have questions afterwards or you have feedback during the sessions, which means also as a speaker, you're learning a lot. So this is public speaking is an elementary point of my career,
And you keep mentioning that you come from a technical background, and do you think a lot of people in that background also should be doing public speaking? Because I guess the both doesn't combine all the time.
At the end of the day, you must like to do this. I think there are a lot of brilliant technicals or developers outside who are not really loving speaking for a big audience, which is absolutely fair enough, no problem. But if you just have a passion for this and you think you're good in this, definitely do it. It's a cool thing,
So you mentioned collaborating with strong partners in projects earlier. How vital are these collaborations, and how do you ensure seamless cooperation and successful outcomes?
Yes. Also, this was beginning in the first days of Xperts Insight that we just recognized, okay, we can do SharePoint at the beginning and we can really do it good. But at the end of the day, there are other topics that needs to be done, which are not our main focus. Okay, and then you're just in a situation that you say, okay, I have to learn this, or I have to deal with someone who already is in the position to deliver on a professional level these capabilities. This is all about, let's say, communication, or even we talked about GDPR, this law perspective, etc. And this is when we started to just dealing with partners, which means at the end of the day, you must a little bit see the difference between I'm asking a guy that I'm knowing, can you help me, or did you know the answer for a specific question? This is not what I mean with partnering. Partnering is, so for example, let's say we're doing a project and migration on-prem Exchange to Exchange Online, whatever, which means we need a communication concept. The end user needs to be informed what's going on, timeline, new features, and so on and so on. And when I say, okay, actually, we need someone who helps us within this because on our all person who can do this are just involved in other projects, say, okay, can you work out and do and deliver the communication concept for this project? And the partner says, yes. That means for me, at this point, I'm out of this. He's doing the stuff and I'm out. He's doing this for me because if you don't have this clear setup, then it's ending in chaos. So this is definitely also a lesson learned. If you just say, okay, there's a partner and you just assign a job to him, then it's his job and not longer yours job. But at the end of the day, for us, it was a really successful strategy, working with strong partners on a trusted level to offer a wider range of capabilities to our customers.
So speaking of chaos, then how do you maintain effective communication and synergy among diverse partners to ensure project objectives are met efficiently?
Cool. At the end of the day, to be true, this is not my key competence. This is why we have partners. So normally when it's about simple stuff, okay, we can do it on our own. But if you're just coming to really such scenarios you mentioned, so diversity, etc., where you need to be really careful and respect these trends, then normally this is something where I say, okay, we need a partner, or maybe if someone at Xperts Insight who says, I can do this, no problem, then it's his job. It's not my key competence, to be true.
All right, so the last question for you is of a personal kind. What would you be doing in your life if not this?
Good question. Really good question. So I have a hobby. I'm writing books. I've published my first thriller in the year 2019. And this was a complete self-publishing approach. It was just only an idea. I want to do this. So I did it and worked out how it works. There's also audiobook available. This was also an interesting challenge. Find a speaker who is reading the book and then publishing it on an Audible, etc. And so actually I'm got a professional agency who is supporting me within this. The second book is already written. And it's actually the situation that we are just looking for a publisher. And the third is in planning. So if I won't do IT, I think I would writing books. Yeah.
And what's the thriller about?
It's about stock exchange hack. So also with the technology focus, because of this is where I'm coming from. Yeah, this is it.
Okay, and do you believe with the advent of ChatGPT as a writing engine and voice actors in artificial intelligence, voices who can narrate it, how's this industry going to change?
Definitely it has an impact, but at the end of the day, when you see how does this technology work, so how does a large language model work, at the end of the day, it's just based on calculations. So it means it is really an average of what someone else already said and aggregated in a new context, which means a language model as per today isn't available to work out something that has never been seen before or never been heard before. And because of this, I'm not very angry from the perspective of an author, because of the big thing for an author is writing a book that was never written before. Yeah.